Hi everybody, Derick Van Ness here, wealth strategist and someone who's here to help you live big. I want to talk to you about something really important today in this video, and that is how do you find simplicity and happiness amid all the chaos in the world, right? It doesn't matter if you're in an epidemic or you are just going through normal life. What I find is that it can be very difficult. We all live chaotic lives. There's all kinds of things going on. So how do you get the most happiness, the most fulfillment, and the most success in living your life, right? So I'm going to give you 5 things today that you can do to really make a big difference. And by the end of this video, you're going to have some strategies to go out in the world and be able to experience things differently, find greater happiness and fulfillment in everything that you do. And here's the reality of the whole situation is there's stuff's going to happen in life, right? So there's what happens in life, and then there's how we individually experience it, right? So it could be that something not so bad happens and you make it a mess. It could be that something good happens and you make it better than it is or not as good as it is. But the reality is how we experience things has a lot to do with what's up here and not so much to do with what's out there, right? So you can take the experience of some of the poorest people in the world live in Africa. But if you've ever seen video of these people, and even when you look at like surveys of happiest nations in the world, many of the best ones, the highest ones in the world are Scandinavia and some of these places, but also many of the African countries or these people who live in simple villages, like they have a lot less than we do, but they're also much happier. So I want to help you take a little bit of the collective wisdom that's come down through the ages, some of my business experience, some of the experience of people way smarter than me, and I'm going to put this together for you in these 5 points. And before I move on, I should probably mention how I learned this, right? Back in 2006, I was snowboarding and I came around a corner on Mammoth Mountain and I was hit by a snowmobile, right? And that snowmobile snapped my femur, and basically I was down for, it should have been 6 months because of some mess ups with the surgery. It ended up being about 18 months that I couldn't really walk, couldn't dance, couldn't run, couldn't do anything. Now I had a choice when I had that broken leg of how I wanted to experience it, right? And that idea of what's the unique opportunity in this situation came to me, and I had to think through it. And here's the thing, like how I experienced that was I said, okay, instead of saying, here's all the things I can't do, I thought, what are the things I can do? What are the things I actually would have wanted to do but never get around to because my life's so busy when I'm fully healthy and I'm out running around and doing a lot of things I do in life, right? So I looked at what is available here, and that's what helped me to learn these 5 points, and it made a massive difference. Literally, that period from 2006 to 2009, I mean, there was the financial meltdown, but also me having a broken femur, being on crutches, and dealing with that was one of the most pivotal points in my life. And I think for a lot of people, what you're going through right now could be that's how you found this video. So I want to help you through that so you can get as much out of it as possible. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is taking everything that you do in your life, and especially the most mundane, the most difficult things, the things that are, you have to do every day or that you get frustrated with, and think of those as your practice. You can take anything in your life and make it your practice. So what do I mean by your practice? That's your time to be present with yourself, to be present with the moment, to be present with all of your surroundings. So an example is, I have a dog and I had to take him for walks every single day and take him out to use the bathroom and do all that kind of stuff. And absolutely, I love my dog. But sometimes in the middle of the workday, the last thing I want to do is take him for a 20-minute walk because I've got stuff to do, right? So I started thinking of those walks instead of something I have to do as something that I get to do, and I get to be present. I get to be present with him and how joyful he is. And we weren't even necessarily walking in the most beautiful places, but looking at how green is the grass, how beautiful are the trees, and being fully present, letting go of work 100%. So when you have those things, whether it's data entry, whether it's having a commute, having chores, daily things that you have to do that you don't love to do, think of taking those as your practice, as your devotion time to get present with yourself. There's actually, in every single moment, there's so many wonderful things happening and going on, whether it's, oh, I can breathe clearly, oh, I've got energy, oh, remembering a moment that you had earlier in the day that was beautiful, appreciating the sun or the beauty that's outside, whatever it is, take those moments to be present. If you do that, it will transform the mundane work as your opportunity to be present with yourself, and your experience of it will be very, very different. The ancient sages, and something that I think about sometimes when I have to do this, they used to call it chopping wood and carrying water. It's the chores that have to get done every single day, that there's nothing special or exciting or glamorous about them. But if you take and you just fully commit and fully put yourself into that work, it can become a beautiful recognition of the moment and what is available to you. I also wanted to mention, if you're getting value from these videos or the things that I'm talking about today or any of the other videos that we're doing, please subscribe, pass these on to people, like them. It makes a huge difference with YouTube if you comment, like, or subscribe. So if you can do that and help us out, it makes a huge difference with the algorithm. We have more reach, we're helping more people, and I'd really appreciate it. So the second thing I want to talk about is related to the first, and it's as you're doing these things, as you're turning the mundane into your practice and becoming more centered, do that from a place of generosity, especially if it's something like, oh, I've got to take care of my kids and do certain things that I don't necessarily enjoy, whether that's driving them around or settling them down or whatever. I realize people love their children, but people also get frustrated, right? And so as you're doing this, as you're making things your practice, come from a place of generosity, not a place of victimhood, right? Not a place of I'm a martyr, I'm doing this and self-sacrificing myself. Instead, think I'm a protector. This is something that's been entrusted to me. Whatever this practice is, something that's been entrusted to me, and I'm going to come from a place of love and generosity. I'm going to do this because I want to, because there's so much to get from it, and I'm going to soak every drop of juice out of it that I can, and I'm going to be in love with this as much as possible, rather than, I'm going to gruel through this. Because how much do your kids know if you're coming from a place of generosity or a place of martyrdom, of victimhood? How much does your significant other know? How much does your boss know? How much does your dog know? Like, people and animals and those around you, they're not stupid. Even if they're not super mathematically bright, like, people get it. Our species is very evolved so that we pick up on a lot of the nonverbal clues, your body language and your tonality, so many things, right? And all of that comes from who are you being in that moment. So be generosity, be contribution, be a giver instead of a martyr, okay? So that's my second thing. Now, the third thing you want to talk about is getting clear on what you actually need to be happy. And I say that because we're gonna have up times, we're gonna have down times. As I'm filming this video, a lot of people are having down times, right? Or they're scared or whatever. So take for a minute and take stock. What do you actually need to be happy? When I lost financially a couple $1 million and literally everything I had back in the 2009 era, I got really, really clear on something. I could be very, very happy with very little money, very little material means, as long as I had my relationships and I had my health. And I was just coming off of the broken femur debacle. And so I was really clear that, hey, I can run, I can be in the park, I can do sports with my friends, I can exercise, I could do all of these things that allowed me to be happy. And so I want you to get clear. What do you need to be happy? And the reason this is so important is there may be a time where, well, I guarantee you, there will be times in your life where you've got to tighten the belt. You've got to go without some of the things that you really have loved or gotten used to, and that's okay, right? This is something that the Stoics practice, is taking a couple of days out of every time period and just living on rice and beans and wearing the non-glamorous clothes, like the worst clothes you had, and just realizing you can go through your life and through your days with very little. And as long as you choose to be happy, as long as you choose to be productive, you can have a very happy existence. And that's super, super important, because then you can be grateful for the things when you do have them. And when you don't have them, you can still be happy and grateful for what you do have. If you do that, you become unshakable in your happiness. You know that you always have exactly what you need to be okay. But it takes a minute to clear that out in your mind and become okay with the fact that, hey, there are certain things in my life that I enjoy, but those have nothing to do with my happiness. Enjoyment and pleasure are totally different than contentment, fulfillment, and happiness. So draw that distinction and get super clear for yourself. That way, when there's things you feel like, I should be doing this and I wish I could do that, and then you look around and you say, hey, but I have so many good things right here. I have plenty to be happy with. You can live in that space instead of a space of lack. You can live in a space of gratitude and abundance. Now, number 4, and this is a really big one, is I want you to start looking for, anytime you think something doesn't go your way, something goes wrong, something is bad, something is hurtful, I want you to stop, and I want to teach you how to recontextualize that so that you can look for the lesson in whatever's happening. So what do I mean by look for the lesson? I believe that everything has a silver lining. You can learn from, you can grow from, you can get better from just about anything that happens. And I truly believe that obstacles are put in our way so that we can overcome them and rise to a higher place. Now, if you start thinking of it that way, then you start realizing that it doesn't matter what comes my way, even difficulty, I can rise above that. I can meet that challenge, and as I overcome it, I can learn from it. And sometimes that doesn't happen instantaneously, right? Sometimes it's a period of time where things are difficult or we're dealing with a new challenge. I believe that if you look at that as a chance to grow and learn, there puts meaning behind the suffering. And that's usually the key. We can get through anything if there's meaning. Viktor Frankl has an incredible book called Man's Search for Meaning that's on that. And one of the things he says in there is, as people were going through the concentration camps, the people who made it through, it's because they had a reason. They had meaning behind getting through all of that terrible thing that was happening to them in World War II so that they could get to the other side, get back to their family, make a contribution to the world or whatever it was. So find meaning in that suffering. What's the lesson? How do I get better? What can I grow and learn from? How can I use this as a chance to be more effective, a bigger contribution? Practice patience, practice love, practice being the best version of me, because it's so darn hard. When it's easy, anybody can be a great version of themselves. When it's difficult, that's when you build the muscles. That's when you build the strength. That's when you get really powerful, is during the difficult times. So don't waste those on being a victim. Instead, rethink those as an opportunity to grow and get better and learn from yourself. Look for the lesson in those. And the last thing, number 5 that I want to talk about, is taking at least one day, and I say this because a lot of people are working from home right now, at least one 24-hour period per week that you disconnect completely from your work. This is really important because a lot of our stress comes from work or family obligations or whatever. Take the work stress out of the equation. Dan Sullivan refers to this as taking a free day. Now, I want you to get that a free day doesn't mean you can just knock out on the couch and be done and not deal with anything, right? Take your free days, plan them to do things you love to do, things that really get your heart going, things that make you connect with your loved ones, that make you connect with nature, that help you become a better version of yourself. This is the time that will help you to remember why you do all the work that you do all week. If you take time out and do that, you'll be amazed, okay? And those are the days that 20 years from now, you're gonna remember the day you spent with your family or your loved ones or went on an adventure or whatever. You're not gonna remember that, oh yeah, I worked that 10th Saturday in a row, right? So take the time to plan it out. You can plan it just like a work day. Boom, 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 boom. Here's all the things we're gonna do. I'm not a huge fan of over planning, but I am a huge fan of having a plan and then rolling with it. So make a plan for your free days. Plan to do things that energize, excite, and move you forward in life, that help you connect with the things that are most important to you, and you'll be amazed at how much more powerful you can be on your work days. You can get a lot more done in 5 or 6 work days where you're fully rested for 1 or 2 days as a minimum. I prefer to, but you need to take at least 1, especially when you're stressed out. And it raises your productivity. You can get done more in 5 productive days than 7 days where you've been working around the clock and you're depleted. So think of rest and rejuvenation and recharging the batteries as something that's going to help you be more productive rather than a waste of time. If you do that, you're going to enjoy life more, you're going to be more productive, and things are going to go a lot better for you. So those are my 5 things. And if you felt like these were valuable, please smash the like button, subscribe, reach out, pass this on. If you know anybody who's suffering up here or really going through difficult times, let's help them see that there are better ways to recontextualize and reframe how you go about life. So my name's Derick Van Ness. I appreciate you coming along. Looking forward to helping you any way I can. Comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next video.